Welcome back. As we promised, we are going to cover together the provocative statements which were released by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu regarding what he called the Greater Israel, and the joint statement by a coalition of 31 Arab and Islamic countries regarding the provocative statements. To shed more light on the issue, we are very much delighted to have with us Dr. Mohamed Talaat, international lawyer and international causes expert. Thank you very much for being with us, sir, and a very good morning.
Good morning. Hi, how are you?
Sir, how do you see the timing of such a provocative statements released by the Israeli Prime Minister, despite the fact that now there are growing condemnations from the whole world after the Israeli genocide war continued in Gaza, killing more than 61,000 Palestinians, in addition to the starvation policies against the Palestinian civilians?
Well, actually, the Israeli Prime Minister comments on Greater Israel and the Cabinet's approval to seize parts of Gaza are seen as highly provocative, especially given the ongoing efforts to broker a ceasefire. These actions are perceived as a direct challenge to the two-state solution and have sparked a widespread condemnation. It will impede all the efforts that are being made in order to reach a ceasefire and even to release the hostages. So it is very imprudent and unwise to make such statements at this juncture.
Mm-hmm. Sir, also yesterday, Dutch Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen said a sentence or a statement which was viral on social media and on news outlets, saying that Benjamin Netanyahu became a problem in himself. And she also said that she is going to use the utmost pressure on Israel via many ways through her presidency of the EU in this current period, meaning that it's not only the opinion of the Arab and Islamic nations, but also the Western ones. How do you see the statements released by the Dutch Prime Minister?
Well, actually, I can see that there is an overall shift in the public opinion ever since this conflict has erupted, and even since the foundation of Israel. Obviously, the international public has been shocked, and for the first time, I believe, they have been able to detect that there are war crimes that are taking place on the land against the Palestinians. Mm-hmm. So this has been an impetus to many of the leaders of the Western world, and particularly in Europe, to condemn what is taking place in Israel. And we have seen that there are 3 or 4 major and leading countries in the world that have announced already that they will recognize the two-state solution, which is evident that the world has been perceiving this conflict from a different approach. So hopefully this will be a conduit to a possible settlement of the everlasting problem which is taking place there.
Sir, also, if you permit me, I'd like to focus on international law to see the opportunity that we do have an international lawyer. How do you see the latest statements revealed by the Israeli Prime Minister as a breach to international law and a direct threat to the sovereignty of its states?
It is definitely, no doubt, a breach of the international law and the infringement on the fundamentals that have been in place for years and years regarding the international ties among the countries. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, however, the enforcement of international law is contingent on the powers of the different countries Therefore, even though that what is taking place and the statements being made are deemed to be in violation and in a direct infringement on the fundamentals of international public law, and is deemed to be obviously a war crime, yet the means of invoking and enforcing these ties is limited to a certain extent, given that they rely on the cooperation and powers of the different countries in the world, particularly the leading and the major countries here.
Sir,
So it is definitely a war crime and definitely an infringement on international public law.
A blatant breach of international law. Sir, also...
Absolutely.
Yeah, the illegal expansion in the Israeli settlements in the West Bank. The settlements are considered illegal by international law, by the United Nations, by the EU, and of course by the Arab and Islamic nations. How do you see this as also another breach of international law, in addition to the provocative statements released by Israeli ministers to say that these settlements, or these illegal settlements, this latest expansion, is going to bury forever the idea of having an independent Palestinian state?
As we just said, I mean, it is one blatant breach of international law, one after the other. Whether the statements being made by the government, whether the resolution or the decision of the parliament in Israel to take over the Western Bank, or otherwise on the expansion of the settlements, these are all, no doubt, breaches and infringement on international law. But as I said, there are no instruments and there are no tools in order to curb the activities of the country except pressure and clout from the public opinions in the world, and particularly the Western world, which we are seeing now, and hopefully this will mount pressure on the governments themselves in order to take a stance against the actions being carried out by the Israeli government. And it is actually being unrevealed now, given that, as I said, four major countries in the world are considering, or have announced, as a matter of fact, that they will recognize Palestine in a month before the General Assembly of the United Nations. So these are all steps in the direct path in order, hopefully, to mount pressure on Israel and help to solve the problem, or at least solve partially the problem. Yeah.
But, sir, unfortunately, Bezalel Smotrich, the Israeli defense minister, said it that way, or answered what you have just said that way, that whoever is speaking about an independent Palestinian state, they are going to answer practically with more expansion of their settlements. How do you see the should-be reaction of the Western countries which recognize Palestine as an independent state or as a state, or those who said that they do plan to recognize Palestine as a state, as you've kindly mentioned, next month in the General Assembly of the United Nations?
This will help, in my opinion, to increase the isolation of Israel, which eventually may lead to a redirection of the provocative actions that are being carried out by the Israeli government one day after the other. It will take time, unfortunately, and we have to be somehow patient, because shifting in the public opinion and shifting in the stance of leading Western states and governments, it's something that we would not have seen a year ago. particularly the United Kingdom. I mean, the United Kingdom, as we know, was one of the reasons of the foundation of Israel.
Yeah.
Given the Balfour announcement and so forth. So to see that the Prime Minister of Britain is actually saying that they will recognize the two states is definitely a position that we did not expect to see even a month or 2 months ago. So eventually the public pressure, in my opinion, will lead to some sort of a redirection of the positions of Israel, but it would take time, and we have to be prudently patient for a certain period of time.
In another development, sir, Norway said that simply they are going to activate this ruling against, or this warrant against Benjamin Netanyahu, saying that they are ready to arrest him for his crimes against humanity, and they suspended all relations with Israel, in addition to Germany, which said that they are going to stop any export of weapons to Israel until further notice. How do you see those two actions in specific, whether from Norway or from Germany?
Norway has been very cooperative from the inception, and ever since the ruling of the International Court has come out on the detention of Netanyahu, if he ever lands or set a foot in Norway, has been there, and definitely this is a very positive move on the part of the Norwegian government. And however, as I said more than once in this call, the enforcement of international law is contingent on the willingness of the countries to cooperate. So while Norway has said that they will detain him if he sets a foot there, some other countries are unwilling to cooperate in this respect and are unwilling to comply with the ruling of the international courts. So it would help, of course, yet it is basically contingent on him going there. If he does not go there, then there will be no way of detaining him.
But the announcement
they
itself,
cannot
I
detain
think it
him
has its
off the
weight or
plane,
its
for
value,
instance.
sir. Yeah. Sir, Dr. Mohamed Talaat, thank you very much for your input, sir, and have a very good day. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.